scary. I was sicker than a dog. And though the dog was in a closet, it's all very weird. Accident. Boom. In reality, I was like being gassed. This. Oh God, I had a sneeze coming. Woo. No paying rent. I mean, hello. And I'm Minivan Lee, and I live in my minivan, and I have lived in my minivan, for 8 years. It's going over 8 years now. Gene Hackman. You know, usually I don't follow celebrity stories, but this one caught my eye, and I've been following it. As you probably already know, him and his wife and one of their dogs was found dead in a house they were staying at. I believe it was a friend's house in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Well, I guess the gardener found them. They had been dead possibly a couple weeks, and nobody knew that they had passed away. And it was a sudden, because the wife was found. She was 65. The wife was found, I believe, in the bathroom, and Gene Hackman was found in another area of the house. Now, it must have been a sudden death. Although the bathroom, they did find a bottle of open pills. They were on the floor. Okay, well, there's a reason why I'm telling you this, because I normally don't talk about things like this, but it really did. I just saw today on the news that they're suspecting carbon monoxide poisoning, which makes sense. And that would be one reason why the dog, although the dog was in a closet, it's all very weird. But if it was carbon monoxide, which they're really suspecting now, carbon monoxide poisoning, I've told a story and I'm going to tell it again, which is one of the reasons I love living in a minivan. I love living here, and I love the freedom of it, and no paying rent. I mean, hello, and I don't have to pay rent. So why am I telling this story about carbon monoxide? The last house I lived in it for 5, 10, 15 years. And the landlords, they were pretty cool. I mean, obviously I was there 15 years. We got along very well. But it was right at the end. My daughter lived beside me, and it was owned by the same landlord in Tucson, in Central. Nice, historical home. Well, after she moved out, this guy came to do the renovation. They wanted to renovate it, which they hadn't really done before. But they thought, well, they could get, the way it's going, they could get higher rent if they renovated it. Mine wasn't. It was historical. Well, he came in, and what he did was he wanted to unhook the stove. They were going to exchange everything. He unhooked the stove, and he turned off the gas. They weren't marked, and he turned mine off instead. This is the way that the gas company, afterwards, they came, and we figured this out. He figured out what happened. He turned off my gas thinking it was the other house that my daughter moved out of. Well, he then realized that it wasn't. And so what he did was he turned mine back on, and then turned off the house next to me. Well, lo and behold, I mean, you can guess, all my pilots went out. My water heater, which was in the house, and my stove. I had a gas stove and a gas water heater. Well, okay. I didn't know any of this I'm not kidding, for 2 weeks. I was sicker than a dog, and I did not know why. First, you think, oh, I got the flu, I mean, I'm not feeling well. But I was sick. What happened was, in the night, I would feel sick during the day, and this was in May. So if you know anything about Tucson in May, it's hot. So I really wasn't taking any hot baths or hot showers. They were mostly, I was taking cool showers. And because I was sick, I wasn't cooking. And a lot of times I would use my microwave anyway, so I wasn't even aware that my gas stove was off. And I wasn't aware that my water heater was off, the pilot. Wow. Okay, so here's what happened. I mean, this might sound gross, but I'll give you a clue on what happened. I would wake up in the night, and my stomach hurt so bad. I would run to the bathroom, and I would sit on the toilet thinking, I had to do number 2, and I would be rocking backward. It was terrible. I mean, I never experienced anything like it. It was weird that I can tell you what this is like to be gassed. I felt like I was in reality, I was like being gassed. About a week and a half later, I couldn't even go to work. A week and a half later, I was in my living room laying down, and this voice. Yeah, the voice. It came, I mean, it wasn't an actual voice, but that was loud and clear. It said, get out of the house. And it kept saying it over and over, get out of the house, get out of the house. So I thought, okay, I'll get out of the house. And what I did was I went and I thought, well, I don't feel well. I'm sick. Well, what I did was I got in my car and I went to the mall. It was too hot to walk outside. It gets hot in May. I mean, it's hot, especially in the afternoon in Tucson. And I drove to the mall and I thought, well, let me walk around. Maybe if I need to walk around. And I was walking, I felt so much better. Oh my gosh, I really did feel better. I mean, every night I was going through this sitting on the toilet. And I will mention, I know you might not want to hear about this, but it was weird. What came out of me were these little balls. I'm not kidding. They were about that big. And they had these it was almost looked like you've seen like a cell, with these things coming. And I thought, I'm really sick. What do I have, cancer? Or what's going on? Well, and I wasn't eating. Well, what happened was I went to turn on my water heater and the pilot was off. And I checked on my stove and that was off. Now the maintenance man was working next door. So I called him over. I said, can you light these? And I told him, I said, they've been off. How long have these been off? Well, I think he knew. Now that I'm looking back, he knew, but he didn't want to admit anything. He didn't want to admit that he's the one that turned and he actually was angry with me. He was like, you didn't know that your pilots were off? And like he was scolding me. But I think it's probably guilt that did that. Anger, fear. When somebody's fearful, it does turn to anger. Have you ever noticed that? When you have fear, like, oh, somebody hit you or somebody almost it makes you afraid. Like somebody almost hit you in a car and it makes you afraid. It makes you angry. Then it turns to anger. Well, I think that's what happened with him. So the next day they turned him on, or he couldn't get him on. For some reason, he couldn't get him on. So he called somebody else that he knew, a maintenance man, and they turned it on. Well, the next morning, I was so freaked out. I called the gas company and I said, can you come check everything? Because I've been so sick and it seemed like my pilots were off. So can you come and check to make sure everything's copacetic with it? Because I don't want to keep going through this. So he came right away, a gas company. And then we went outside and we checked and I said, well, I believe that he turned mine off because he's renovating this one and he turned mine off. And he goes, yeah, they're not marked. So he actually looked on the records and he said, yeah, yours was turned off about a week and a half ago. I was livid. And so what he did, he goes, don't worry, I'm going to mark these so that they should have been marked. And so I told my landlord and I said, he turned off my gas. I've been so sick. It didn't faze her in the least. It didn't faze her at all. And so that wasn't the main reason why I left. I was ready to leave and start my nomad life. But this is a story. Listen, everybody, if this really was carbon monoxide that killed Gene Hackman and his wife and his dog, there were 2 other dogs, but I believe they were outside at the time, so they survived. I don't know what they were eating, but yeah, be careful. So living in a minivan or a van, it's a really good idea to have a carbon monoxide detector. I mean, it's really imperative, and a smoke detector inside. So if I have my butane stove and I'm using it, people will say, well, don't you need to roll down your window a little bit? Any vehicle is not a sealed containment, okay? Now, I do have my window cracked here a little bit, and my vents are open here. I have a vent open here, and air is flowing. But if I was using not so much butane, but if I was using propane, I would crack my window about this much because the window's this wide. So if you got to crack that much, you've got quite an area that's open. That's what I would use. If in the winter I was using a propane heater, like I had a little Mr. Buddy, yeah, I would crack about this much. My windows, my second row seat windows, yeah. So it's serious, everybody. If this really, and they don't know yet, they're still doing testing, but if this really is the reason that they passed away at the same time, it could have happened to me in the night. Oh my gosh. It's really serious. I want to talk about being afraid, having confidence and being afraid. I have so many people that it's all the time. People say, you're so brave living in your minivan. Wow, you're so brave doing this. They use the word scared a lot. I would be so scared. Lately, I've been getting those. They say, that's scary. I would never do that. I'd be too scared to do that. Well, here's where I'm at. So I want to give you some advice. And this is where confidence comes from, everybody. And bravery. Courage. A lot of us have fear. We are afraid of doing something, but when we do it anyways, that's what creates courage. That's what bravery is all about, to do it. Well, I don't have to really feel like, because when people say you're so brave, I think I am. So why am I so brave? I don't feel brave. Well, I think people who live in a house, here's what I've come to a conclusion. This is my theory. See if you agree with me. When you live in a house, you've got those thick walls. I mean, walls probably about that thick, usually cinder blocks and then wood around that block, right? Well, you think that it feels so safe, right? Oh my gosh. I think that what happens is the outside appears to be scary. It's scary out. I don't have my walls around me, and I need to have, when I'm sleeping, I got to have these walls around me, and you feel so secure. Well, when you've been a nomad for a while, it's not so. I'm out and about. I'm at the parks. I'm driving around. I'm just more out here, and I'm sleeping in my van in neighborhoods. And a lot of you say, oh, that'd be so scary. I'm not scared. I think because I'm out here, and I realize it's not scary. What's so scary? I'm maneuvering myself around the world, and it's not that scary. And because I've traveled, I've slept at rest stops. I've slept in Cracker Barrels. I've boondocked. I've been out camping, and I've done most of this solo as a solo female, all by myself. I'm here. I don't like to boondock way out. I would never. Okay, here's something I would never do is go out and boondock out in the middle of nowhere by myself. Nah, that's not my cup of tea. Don't have a dog to alert me, things like that. I don't want to travel with a dog or a cat. So yeah, but I'm not afraid because I'm out here. And what's scary? Now, I will mention that anywhere there's homeless people, if you're on the West Coast, near the west end of the United States, you're going to run across a lot of homeless people. But especially here in Tucson. And people say, oh, I'd be so scared. Don't talk to them. Aren't you afraid? No. I mean, if I sense that somebody's afraid to talk, that it's scary to talk to them and they might be dangerous, I don't walk up to them. But for the most part, I mean, homeless people they're homeless. Now, if they there's stages of homelessness. This is another theory of mine. There's stages of homelessness. You can tell what stage a homeless person is in, whether they're brand new homeless, middle homeless, and if they're towards the end. Yeah, they look very poor and they're very dirty. And they almost look like, from being homeless, they almost appear to be a little bit too wacky for me. Like they might be unstable. There's one guy that walks around here who seems totally unstable. He doesn't have a belt, so he holds it's all the same. He holds his pants up like this and he walks around really fast, and he looks and he'll just come up and he'll stop and he'll just look, and I'll go, yeah, what's up, and then he just like turns and then he walks the other way. But I am on alert if he does that. I don't see him all the time, but he's holding his pants up because he doesn't have a belt. Yeah, he's towards the wacky end of it. Being homeless can make you wacky. Not everybody, but there are certain homeless individuals with their personality. Yeah, they will become totally, mentally ill in a way. So, but I'm not afraid to talk to homeless people. If they seem relatively okay, I'll ask them how they're doing. How you doing? Is everything okay? And I do ask them, do you need anything? Do you need any money? Of course they'll say, yeah. I mean, I've had some of them say no, like they're angry that I would ask them that because they don't want to appear to be needy and they find it rude that I would ask that. But I usually ask them, how you doing? Do you need anything? Being afraid, because there's a perk to this, because I'm out and about, because I've worked through any fear, because I've been doing this for a while and I have the experience of it. It really does create confidence. I'm very confident now. Every year I become much more confident in my lifestyle, in what I'm doing, and in success. Yeah. So if you're going to be afraid and you're going to live in fear of maneuvering through the world, and you feel that your walls are your protection, yeah, you're going to be less confident, I believe. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this. I was going to talk about money. So I'll save that for the next time because these were things on my mind. Let me know what you think in comments, okay? I want to talk about something else. And this hit me this morning. A lot has hit me this morning. I want to share it with you. Okay. I went and took my shower at Planet Fitness. So nice. Yeah. I'm going to miss Tucson Planet Fitnesses. There's a lot of Planet Fitness gyms in Tucson, in different areas of the city. So I'm going to miss it because I love their shower systems. It's the best I found all across the nation, except in Cincinnati. All of them in Cincinnati were very, very nice. And I would visit a lot of them. Okay, great shower systems. Not so much in other areas. Okay, so I'm driving to where I am now. Huge in an intersection. Huge accident. Oh my gosh. And it was still dark. I mean, it's still early. It's 7 o'clock. It's not even really light yet. I wanted to remind all of you and explain one thing for me is I've done in the 8 years as a nomad, I've done a lot of driving. Yeah, I've gone across the country 4 times and I've gone north and I've gone south. Yeah, and I've gone to the coast, the West Coast. Yeah. So, and I don't drive so much. And I mentioned I'm tired of driving. I don't drive so much anymore. And I probably drive less than actual locals in the city. You know, I go to the gym. I go to the store, I go to parks, and then I go find a spot to park at night, and that's really about it. Every once in a while I venture out and go to like Saguaro National Monument or go up north to the mall or something like that. But for basics during the day, as a rule, I don't drive that much anymore. And you know what? And it keeps the maintenance down on my van because this is my home. It keeps that down. And I'm so busy writing and filming, and I'm writing and just doing normal everyday things, you know. Normal everyday people don't just constantly, they're always on the go driving. I don't do that. I'm not really a travel type channel. I'm more of a channel that I instruct you how to live in a minivan and how I do things and give advice, things like that. Yeah. And give you statistics and give you some news about homelessness, senior citizens, and budgets, information such as that. But driving, I don't do so much anymore. And here's the thing that I think about. The more I'm on the road, the more chances I have of getting in an accident. Boom, right? Or somebody driving and hitting me, knocking me out of commission, hurting my body, becoming disabled. I lose my home for a while, and it takes all of that to find a new van, things like that. So the less I'm on the road, the less percentage I have. I mean, it could come at any time, but the less percentage I have of getting in an accident. So that's where I'm at. And that actually proves it. I drive so careful now. Oh my gosh. People, their minds are so on other things these days that a lot of people really aren't paying attention. And of course you got that going on. My husband was killed by a drunk driver, when he was 40. And yeah, so, my kids lost their dad and I lost my husband because of that. So yeah, drinking, you got drinking going on, especially this is, when I'm filming this is on a Saturday morning. Well, it was Friday night, a whole lot of this going on and a whole lot of this going on because it's legal. I mean, people are smoking pot anywhere. They're doing it at the park when they're not supposed to. They're doing while they're driving when they're not supposed to. And you're not supposed to drive when you're stoned. But a lot of people are doing that and their minds are like, elsewhere. Everybody's minds is elsewhere. So be careful, everybody. And I want to explain that's one of the reasons that's a perk of me not driving so much. Less chance. So let me know in comments what you think about all of this. I had a sneeze coming. Woo! That felt good. Don't you just love to sneeze? I do. You gotta let it go too. Some people they hold in their sneeze like their brain's gonna explode, no, yeah. Don't do that. Yeah. You're gonna, your brain's gonna go crazy. But that felt good. Did you like the sneeze? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll save the money. I first want to talk about, I'm going to go through different generations, how each generation, we've got the young adults, we've got the middle, and then we've got the seniors. So I'll talk about each one individually, about how they're doing in the economy, how they're faring out here, and what are the new statistics that these age groups are going through financially. And of course, it affects everything in our life, doesn't it? Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this. We got the, be careful, carbon monoxide. It's a killer. Okay. And, we'll see how this all comes out, but it did want to let me know, to inform you about what I went through. I was gassed. At one point, a week and a half worth of being gassed. It was, yeah, no apologies, no nothing on that. Yeah. So I'm so glad I don't rent anymore. Phew. Yeah. And then second, be careful with the accidents. Okay. Pay attention. Don't drink and drive. Don't smoke and drive. Don't smoke pot and drive. And be careful of everybody else. And then thirdly, it's about fear. If you want to have confidence, you've got to get out there, and you can't worry about the fear of it. Go do it. Unless it absolutely you feel that, the higher that God is saying, don't do that. Okay. But if you're just afraid of something in the world out here, no. Okay. So please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, everybody. Yeah. Now, my newest book is it's the second edition, How to Live in a Minivan, the Minivan Leeway. Second edition, larger. Everything is new. Okay. It's all been updated. I've used, QR codes, links, work for the Kindle edition. Okay. And you can find that on Amazon.com. You got to go to the actual browser, because if you're going to download it, you have to do the Kindle on the browser. So go to Amazon.com and type in Minivan Lee books. Will come up. Okay? Yeah. And there's 6 of them, 6 books now. So the second edition, but if you want to just use your app for the paperback, and that's what I had the QR codes for, is the paperback edition. If you're reading your paperback book, just grab your phone, use your photo app, and lean it and towards the QR code. So made new playlists for you and everything. It's all right there. So yeah, it's new techie stuff, okay? Learn to be techie, everybody. But the paperback, and it is a very good book. And it's not just for minivans. It's also for SUVs, regular vans, like Econoline vans you might do a build out on. It's for ProMasters, sedans. It'll show you how to get from A to Z inside a vehicle if there's an emergency, or if you're being evicted, or whatever. Yeah, you may have to get in your vehicle, and this book will be a reference for you. It's got everything you're going to need. I promise. And then it's information to get you far beyond, even as a van dweller, for van life. This is all about van life, okay? I love you guys. Mwah. Hey, good things are coming our way, aren't they? 6 words. Good things are coming my way. I want you to say that. Ready? Say it with me. Good things are coming my way. And I want you to say this every morning, okay? And when you go into the bathroom, okay, look in the mirror and do this. Say, high five. And that is a way of letting yourself know that you're doing good. We're doing good, aren't we? So high five, everybody. You go out and have a really good day. I love you guys so much. Yes. Don't forget to comment, okay? And don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to go to Minivan Lee on Amazon. Just type in Minivan Lee and all the books will come up. Bye, everybody. I love you. And check out for next time. I really am going to talk about the money. Okay? Bye.